So of course, as I was saying, I'm on the Bachelor of Early Childhood Care and Education here in DCU. So the course, like code is DC001. And before I go on to about the course in more depth, I just want to give you guys a little bit of a rundown about me in general and just my journey into the course. As I said, I'm in my third year now. Basically what helped me get to here was I was born and raised in Gorey, County Wexford, and then kind of when I was through my secondary school journey, what I loved to do was art, music, nutrition, traveling, nature, exercising, working in teams. And more so, I'm not saying any of that kind of stuff to be like, oh, look at me, this is what I love doing. It's kind of to give you an insight about what kind of stuff you might find in yourself to enjoy doing and what would kind of suit you towards the course. Especially when I knew in secondary school, I loved, again, as I was saying, I loved art, I loved nutrition, I loved law, I loved home ec, I loved psychological things, I loved science, I loved all that kind of stuff, and I knew I wanted to work with kids. I just didn't know how and where to even start with that because I wasn't dead set on primary school teaching. I wasn't dead set on going into child psychology because there are a lot of definite courses. So something that was really broad and still to do with children was kind of on the list for me. And lucky enough, I went to one of these CAO evenings here for DCU and I found this course. And so this is why I always do it for other people because I'm hoping I could get some of you on board as well. First thing I want to do as well is get rid of this course stereotype. A lot of people hear this course and think, oh, it's just another way into primary teaching, or it's just to do a creche work. It's just to do preschools, like to get into primary schools. There's a lot of kind of negative stereotype as well, and I just want to nip it into the bud right now because I'm hoping that you get a better idea of what the course is now as I go on into more detail. But yeah, if you have any questions as well as I go on, put it in the Q&A. Me and Margaret are going to monitor them and literally anything at all. I'll try my best to answer all of them. First of all, just want to go into the basics of the course. I'm sure a lot of you are really familiar with what this is. It's CAO, like I suppose what's in all the handbooks and everything. So I'll just briefly go through it and give you kind of the main things on it. So of course it is a level 8, so it's 4 years in length. You'll spend your 4 years on DCU St. Pat's, which is up in Drumcondra near DCU main campus. And the points at the moment they're sitting around 420. However, I do want to say as well, the points that fluctuate every single year. They could be different right now as I'm speaking to you as well. So do not put it or base your CAO on what the points are. Put it on your list if it's anyway an interest to you, and honestly, the points will follow. Whatever, you don't know what's going to happen next year. You can't predict. So definitely keep on your CAO if it's of interest. Placement. So placement, there is placement. It's across the 4 years. You're in placement every single year. I'm going to get into more detail about that now in a few slides as well. But just for now, I just want to say there is placement. Important things that are not listed on the CAO, things that, like, well, they're in the handbooks, but they're not in the dead, like, course jumping at you basically, so you'd have to really read to see them, is spaces and Erasmus. So spaces, I'm hoping it's not on the CO at the moment just so that it's fluctuating. They're kind of trying to let in as much people as they can as the years go on. It's relatively new to DCU, the course. It's within its like 10-year range, so there's 75 in my course, 74 girls, one boy. However, I don't want anyone to be like turned off by the fact that there's only one guy. I think in the previous years now and the recent years there's like three, four, five, six, up to 10 guys in it. And so it's definitely becoming more popular within guys coming into it, especially for stepping stone routes into different courses. So again, do not let that turn you off. And the guy in my course is doing just fine. He's having a great time. So yeah, Erasmus is another thing. Erasmus is where you can work abroad, and we do that in year 3 of my course. So again, as I was saying, it's 4 years. So in year 3, you get to pick between like Norway, Hungary, or Belgium. So Scandinavian countries that our curriculum is really respected in, and we respect theirs. So you get to go abroad for that and work abroad in a semester. So some of my friends are going to that now as well. I'm pretty jealous, but yeah. Moving on, I'm gonna just get through this quickly. So modules in the course. So some of the modules in the course would be like your subjects that you do in school. So we do national frameworks, which is like the law in Ireland. So we do a lot of on Astra and Gaeltacht here in Ireland, and basically they just based on early childhood education, what we do our work on is based on those frameworks in Ireland. And next is child protection and legal frameworks. That's another fancy word for law in Ireland, and we do a lot of work on that and figuring out child law. Child development 1 and 2, another fancy word for psychology. So we do that in years 1 and 2. It kind of goes into years 3 and 4, but more on a psychological aspect, so it's not called child development. Wellbeing, health and nutrition 1 and 2, so they're for years 1 and 2. Creativity and art, in ECE, art and music, so we get to art, music, all that kind of stuff to help us with placement more. So super fun, usually on a Monday, just to get us interactive and getting us activities ready for placement really. So issues in professional learning and practices 1 and 2, again helping us out with placement on a Monday. Critical studies 1 and 2, which is actually like politics, believe it or not. So you wouldn't even think there's a lot of politics in ours. However, there is. In society, we need to advocate for our voices in early childhood. So that's a lot about what that modules are on, critical studies. Language and cultural diversity is also interlinked with diversity, equity, and inclusion. So that's across your 4 years. And what it really is kind of if you're interested in things like speech and language therapy, working with children with additional needs, working and understanding the psychological aspects of development in that realm, or even the language realm or speech realm, within kids with additional needs. They're really fascinating. These two modules have like helped me get into my career course as I'm going on. So again, probably my favorite ones as bias, but anyway, drama and socio-dramatic play in ECE. So that's just like doing plays and stuff like that, just a bit of fun. And then technology and learning are some of the other ones as well. We also do maths. We do kind of broad range and stuff. We do a bit of Irish as well in fourth year. So it kind of has a bit of everything. As I was saying, that I was in first year of secondary school or sixth year even of secondary school, doing my CAO, and I knew I had so much interest in all these subjects in school. I knew I wanted to work with kids. I'm so happy with how broad the range of modules is in this course and that you could follow all of them. And there's a bit of something for everyone in the course while still working with children. It's so ideal. How do the hours look on our timetable? So this is actually my year two timetable. I have in the bottom left corner my semesters like one and two of year three as well, which I'm going to just talk through as well, just because give you a broad range of what our hours might look like. So in year two on Mondays we were online 1 to 3, which is ideal, especially if you're commuting. Like it's honestly, a lot of people are like, oh, online. Honestly, not to be in college on a Monday was pretty ideal after the weekend. So Tuesday we're in 10 to 3. So that's like two modules. You'll have 2 hour lecture, a break for an hour, and then 2 hour lecture. Wednesday was off completely. Thursday and Friday were 10 to 3. However, this year we are in so we're obviously in third year. We did it like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then the odd Thursday we'd have an exam, or not an exam, sorry, a module or a class on a Thursday morning. So my main key point about the hours here is that we aren't in a lot into like St. Pat's, and we're not in class a lot. A lot of people this suits. It also might not suit a lot of people. The kind of general advice I'd give on hours in play in DCU or really any college is if you're in a lot, there's not as much work at home. Whereas if you're not in as much, there's more work to do independently, and that just doesn't suit some people. You really kind of have to be your own boss and manufacture your own hours of work you're going to put in. So, for example, being in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe a Thursday, you can very easily slack off. So it's just something to keep in mind. For ours, it really suited me because it was really good for traveling. As we were mentioned before, I'm from Wexford, so I was commuting up and down. So it's great that we're not in rush hour traffics, and then we're also in like sparingly, and I was able to do my work at home too. So it just worked out best for everyone. Semester two is placement. So every semester two, years one, two, three, and four is going to be placement. On a Monday, we're in 10 to 3. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you're in your placement, and then Fridays, you're completely off. The reason they do completely off on a Friday is just to let you catch up on work. You're going to have a lot of paperwork to do in placement, so they just kind of give it to you to give you a little bit of lenience and a bit of balance as well, because they know a lot of us might work at weekends and stuff. 10 to 3 on campus on a Monday is kind of the fun subjects as well. So it's stuff like doing art and music, and we do maths and outdoor learning on a Monday this year. And the real reason is for them is to kind of get us up to campus, talking with our lecturers, making sure everything's going well, and that kind of thing. So yeah, placement can be anywhere. I'm, believe it or not, in a primary school this year, ironically. And what I'm doing there is I'm working in an ASD unit. So years 3 and 4 are kind of lenient. You can kind of go into stuff that you're kind of interested in doing as a career. So, for example, with me, I'm more interested in child psychology. Early childhood is what made me interested in child psychology. So that's kind of where my two placements in years 3 and 4 are gonna go against or go with even. Years one and two are in creches and Montessori's, which are fabulous as well. It's great to see the young kids and stuff. So yeah, that's just another one. Assessments. So really quickly, I'm going to go through some assessments. Primarily they're continuous assessments, which might suit a lot of people. And what I mean by that is basically there's like no exams in this course. There's only exams in year, well, there is an exam every year, but maybe only one, max two. And at two, it's like, whoa, we have two exams, relax. So we get away with it really easily. But again, as I said, continuous assessments is something that suits a lot of people. They could just be like essays, group projects as the year goes on. And then the exams are only in subjects that are kind of harder to examine, like, or even continuous assess as we go on through the years. So, for example, year one, we had two exams, and it was psychology and law. Whereas years three, we had one exam, and it's just psychology because we didn't have law anymore. So, psychology is something that is hard to examine as the year, like weeks go on. You can't really do essays too much on it. So, they like to see our knowledge in an exam, and you kind of excel in it, to be fair. Another quick point I want to make is that exams are done before Christmas and not after. This is kind of general advice for college students. Like I think Maynooth and TUD at the moment are doing their Christmas exams in January. Imagine being like studying at Christmas time. Oh my God, that would actually stress me out. So yeah, just we do our exams in December before Christmas. Another like pointer for DCU, I guess. And then placements assessment every end of April. So placements January to April, by the way, as I didn't actually mention that before. It's from January to April, so 12 weeks. So it's pretty manageable as well if you're only in 3 days a week. Quickly, just want to go through some things that you can go into after this course and what's offered to you. So you can go into managerial roles and honestly fabulous like roles after your level 8, your 4 years if you wanted to, if you don't want to go further. So you can go into, as I said, managerial roles, you can go into NINRAS, creches, early years inspectors, you can work for government bodies. Honestly, the opportunities are endless, and especially if you want to further in your education and go into masters, the Bachelor of Early Childhood Education is a huge and really positive stepping stone into these. So I know a lot of popular ones are child psychology. That's kind of what I'm going into, as I was mentioning. Child development, kind of linking psychology as well, or speech and language therapy and art therapy. And another huge one is primary school teaching. I hear a lot about, and I get a lot of questions about it. And of course, it's important to mention as well. So you can go into primary school teaching after early childhood education. You got to do a TEG exam, which is an Irish exam, and you'll be able to go into your primary school masters, which again, honestly, the best primary school teachers come from people who understand children at a baseline level. So early childhood does really help you with that. And again, you get so much experience. A lot of people who come into the course, thinking, oh, I want to do primary school teaching, but this was my background route because I didn't get into it. They're like after years 2 or 3, oh, geez, I didn't even want to. I don't know where I was kind of going with that. So not that it will happen. It's a good option to have if you're in any way iffy about primary school teaching. It is just a good background route to have, or a number two on your CAO, just in case as something to fall back on as well. So why DCU for BECE? First of all, the campuses are beautiful. I know we're kind of biased, but especially DCU St. Pat's. It's a beautiful campus, full of architecture, loads of greenery. There's campus accommodation all around us. So you can be on campus in DCU St. Pat's, or you can be over on the Glasnevin campus. You're submerged in a campus that's solely built for people in your situation. And what I mean by that is like, so St. Pat's is an education based. Anything to education will be on St. Pat's, and you're constantly around people who are in that mindset of working towards the future in education, who want to teach like children, whether it be older, younger, than early childhood. People are always in that mindset, and they're there because they want to be able to help others. And so it's great to be in that environment, and it's so special that we have a placement or somewhere in the city that's specific to it, such as St. Pat's. We're located right beside DCU Glasnevin. So again, if you want to get over to do any clubs and societies in DCU, it's not far away. There's a bus that brings it right to and from. We're located right beside city centre too, which is ideal as well, going in and out with your friends, or to get commute up and down in the afternoons or mornings. Really close to the train station, really close to a bus station. It feels like one big family. So we always get really like sloppy when we talk about this, but yeah, because our course isn't so big, it doesn't have hundreds of people in the course. Honestly, I could not stress enough how lovely the environment is in the Bachelor of Early Childhood Education. Again, you're in with like-minded people, and the lecturers, there's not a huge team. They're all wanting you to thrive in any way they can. So whether that's going into child psychology, primary school teaching, of course, ideally, if you stay in the early childhood sector, they really are like there for you for life, and they make that known. And so something I always get asked at open days is if it's a comfortable environment and it feels like a home away from home. So I have to put that in there, that it's really easy to make friends, especially coming from something so daunting like a leaving cert, and you're new again to something else. It's unreal. Unreal. You'll learn how to integrate your degree into community in more ways than just in education. So again, that's where I'm talking about the lecturers will advocate for you to freedom of speech. Early childhood is something that is kind of getting downgraded in society at times. And so we've really had to fight for our voice in society and through the education sector, and this course and has allowed me to do things like this, like speaking about it on DCU's like Zoom calls for CAOs. So yeah, just another important pointer that I always like to add in. So that's kind of all of the information I have. I know I flew through it. However, I know we're on a time frame as well, and I want to get to some questions if there's any at all. Other than that, I think I can hand it over, or at least stop sharing and get back onto the Zoom call.
Okay. Hi everyone. Hope you can see me. My name is Aisling, and I am a final year student in the Bachelor of Education primary teaching degree. So I'm just going to be discussing primary teaching, and if you have any questions, you can ask them at the end. So first, why choose the Bachelor of Education in DCU? In DCU, you gain loads of hands-on teaching experience through seminars, which really help you in creating lessons for children. You really inspire the future. Like in primary teaching, you are teaching children and you're making a really lasting impact. on children's lives through education. It's also a course which is recognized internationally, and you get to turn your love for learning and passion for helping others into a really fulfilling career. And it's also important to note that 99% of the DCU Institute of Education graduates also secure a job within 6 months of graduating. So, I've just done up a little course overview of primary teaching. So in year one, you'll see here that we do foundation and professional studies modules. So basically what these are is they are like helping you to learn how to become a teacher, how to be a leader in the classroom, how to help children learn. What ways do children learn efficiently? And we learn how to help them to reach their learning outcomes. You also have 2 weeks in the Gaeltacht. So this is a requirement with the Teaching Council. And you have a professional placement block. Now with placement, in first year you get to email schools to see where you will be placed. So DCU doesn't find the school for you. You go and you try find it yourself. A lot of my friends emailed schools in their locality. So for me, I'm from Wexford and I emailed schools in Wexford. And then there is another Foundations in Humanities, Science and Education modules. So this is just we learn how to teach the subjects in primary teaching, such as science, history, music, English, Irish, maths, and a lot more like drama and SPHE and religion. In year two, so once again, you do have the modules. So you have the ones that prepare you to teach in a classroom. You also have 2 weeks in the Gaeltacht again, and I'll be discussing the Gaeltacht more. You also have a professional placement block, which is done in semester 2 of year 2, and it's usually a 3-week block. And you also have your Foundations in Humanities, Science and Education modules. So these, once again, are your science, your history, your music, geography, subjects like that. And you also have your major specialism. So in year 2, you decide which one you're going to specialize in. So for me, my specialism was history because I just adored history in primary school, in secondary school. And I'm so happy that I chose history. In year 3, once again, you have the modules which prepare you to be a primary school teacher. And then you have a 12-week professional placement block, which is in the first semester of year 3. So that is a placement block with a junior class, and then a placement block with SEN, and then a placement block with a senior class. And this is all in semester 1. You also continue with your major specialism. So for me, I continued with history. And then in final year, you have your modules once again, which prepare you to be a teacher. And then you have your 10 weeks. Well, this is under review. So it used to be 10 weeks placement. So in semester 2. But for me, it is an 8-week placement now with it's extended placement. So we are in placement for 8 continuous weeks. We also have our research project as well in year 4. And we have our major specialism. So once again, you continue with your specialism. Specialisms can be on each individual subject and also on, for example, early childhood education, inclusive education. And then, as I said, I would discuss the Gaeltacht. So in year 1 and 2, students spend 2 weeks in the Gaeltacht, living in areas where Irish is the primary language. You participate in traditional Gaeilge dancing. There's loads of music. There's so much fun in the Gaeltacht. Everyone always remembers the Gaeltacht as there's been so much fun. You can be put with your friends. There is a preference list, so there is a chance that you will be put with your friends if you choose the exact same preference list. It's completely free, so you don't have to pay for like accommodation. You get fed when you're there. You don't have to pay for education or anything like this. And there is also it is a teaching requirement, so you do have to go to the Gaeltacht in year one and in year two in the summer. And then in year three there is an Erasmus opportunity. Now I personally did not go on Erasmus, but I know many people who did, and they said it was an incredible experience. Um, it's in semester two of year three. So rather than going on Erasmus, I spent my college time in DCU instead of Erasmus. How do you sign up? In semester one, in year two, an email is sent out regarding the Erasmus option. And for anyone who is interested in Erasmus, in semester one of year two, there is a Zoom which everyone attends with more information regarding Erasmus for everyone who's interested. Why choose Erasmus? You can learn about education in other countries. It's also really fun to just go abroad, experience education abroad. It might be your only avenue for doing this in education. It's also a really wonderful experience, and everyone I've heard who has done it has had such a good time abroad. And you are also given an Erasmus grant to cover costs. And the only thing with Erasmus is you do have to get a 2-1 in second year. So you do have to be mindful of your grades, of your assignments, and this is the case for everyone. Some of the places that you can go on Erasmus are Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, Czech Republic, Denmark, Finland, France, Hungary, Iceland, the Netherlands, Norway, Poland, Spain, Sweden, the UK, and the USA. And like this list, it always gets bigger every year. There's so many places people can go to. It really is an amazing experience. So also about professional placement, as it is in every year of the course. So this is your opportunity to apply the knowledge and the strategies that you have learned in your seminars, in your lectures, into a real world classroom setting. So you build a lot of confidence in your teaching. You're doing it every year, year one, year two, year three, year four. So you really build so much confidence in your teaching, and you get to see what works in the classroom and what might not work in another classroom. You really get to witness the joy and the progress that children make under your guidance, and it's a lovely experience when you see like the light bulb going off. It's really amazing. You gain a lot of valuable insights from placement, and then just a bit about finding placement. So I mentioned before, in year one and in year three, you find a placement for yourself. So this means emailing schools, ringing up schools, any schools that are in your locality to see if they have an opportunity for a student teacher. And then in year two and in year four, you will have to DCU find placement for you. So you tell them your address. Now it is in the Greater Dublin area, which is like Wicklow, Meath, Louth, and Dublin. So that's where they find placement for students. In year three, it's a lot of junior class placement, which is juniors to second class, senior class placement, which is third to sixth class, and then there is a special education placement as well. And placement is it's such a good experience for learning what you've applied in class and then applying it to children in your classroom. It's really a really good experience for getting to build up your confidence in teaching and understanding what it is like to be a teacher. So the timetable in DCU, it is an individualized timetable. What does that mean? It means that all timetables are different. So I never had the same timetable as anyone else in my course. It is roughly 20 to 25 hours per week in classes and lectures. So you might not have the same class as a friend. It is predominantly on St. Patrick's campus, which is just a gorgeous campus. It's really, really lovely. Everyone gets along with each other, and it's a lovely little community. Gorgeous campus. And then you might have Irish, for example, on the All Hallows campus as well, which is also, it's just across the road. And it has a wonderful library and cafe. And it's just a short walk from from DCU St. Pat's. Student life is really amazing. On Pat's, like we have loads of places for students to hang out and chat. We have places with microwaves for students who may be commuting or just trying to get lunch, and you can bring in your lunch and heat it up in the microwave. And just everyone, the community is so nice on Pat's and on All Hallows. Everyone really gets along with each other. And then you can also get involved in volunteering on PATS. So you can get involved with different groups, different societies also run events on PATS, as well as Glasnevin and All Hallows. And it's a really, really wonderful campus. It's really, I cannot stress how much it is so lovely. And then assessment. You might be wondering, what is the assessment like in primary teaching? So, you do have a Gaeilge oral exam in year one and year three, but you don't have it in year two and year four. Assessment is mostly a mixture of group assignments where you're working together, solo assignments, but the thing is, there are marking rubrics for each assignment. So a marking rubric basically tells you what you have to put in your assignment in order to get a grade. And there are a few written exams, which like you would be happy to hear because I know there's a lot of written exams for the Leaving Cert, but in primary teaching, it's maybe one a year or one per semester. And there's not that many written exams at all. It is mostly assignments. Um, there also might be other smaller tasks, like a lot of lecturers will give quizzes in a lecture just to make sure that everyone is paying attention and understands what is happening in the lecture. So just the entry requirements for primary teaching. So in addition to the general entry requirements for admission to DCU, the following entry requirements apply. So there is a minimum of H5 in no fewer than 3 subjects, and a minimum of O6 or H7 in 3 other subjects, to include a minimum of H4 in Irish, O4 or H7 in English, and O4 or H7 in maths. Okay, does anyone have any questions?
So I'm going to talk you through some information on the post-primary teacher education. So when you do this course on your CAO and you're putting on your CAO, you pick one of these 3 courses. There are 3 different courses. So one is religious education with English, which is what I'm studying, and I'm in my final year at the minute. Then there's Bachelor of Religious Education with history, and then there's Bachelor of Religious Education with music. It's important to stress that there are different courses, and once you get into one, say you get into English, you can't then switch onto history or onto music when you get in. They are 3 separate and different courses. But when you do study them, you study religion together. So I study religious education with those who do history and music, even though I do English. I have my English modules then separate with everyone else who studies English. But you can't switch once you're in. They are separate courses, and they've separate course codes as well, as you can see there. So that's important to stress. So good to move on to the next slide.
Yeah, sorry. 1 second. This is messy.
So points. At open days, I get asked quite a bit about points and how much points would you need. I'd aim for 420, and I'd always aim for 420 for each of the courses. The points fluctuate every year. Some years it's been in the high 300s, like 380, 390. Then other years it's been up at 420. Last year they were all 3 of them were in around 410. but I would always aim to be getting 420 points to be safe, to be guaranteed to be in, is 420 points.
I'm sorry. I'm
So then once you're in, and this is the case for English, history, and music, whichever elective you pick, you study education, and all your education modules would be together. You'd be studying with people who do English, history, and music, regardless of which one you've picked. And we did the history of education. So where did education begin? The philosophy of education, we look at different educational philosophers. The psychology of education, so how people think, how people learn. Sociology of education, educational technology, so that's huge at the minute with the emergence of AI and other new technologies. Curriculum and assessment, so we study the curriculum and then we also learn how to assess students. And then religious education, again, we have that all together. That's a big group. But then English, history, and music, we split. So if you pick English, you're going to be only with people who do English. Same with history, same for music. The music group, I get asked a bit about music, the numbers and stuff. It's a small group. Generally between 10 and no more than 20 people usually are in music. And it's a small, tight-knit cohort. A lovely, lovely group. And they actually do performances and stuff all the time. There's a choir and they do shows and stuff, and it's really, really nice. And then English and history is usually about 60 people in English and about 40, 50 people then in history. So that's just the question that usually comes up at open days. School placement. So placement makes up 25% of the program, so it's a huge part of the program. It's a very important part. In year one, you've got a 4-week placement. That is an online placement on Zoom, teaching your peers. Year two is 6 weeks, and year two now goes out to school for a 2-week placement. So in school teaching lessons for 2 weeks. When I was doing the course when I was in second year, that wasn't the case for me. We had another online placement, but in year two now you have 2 weeks out in school. In year three, it's 8 weeks. That's out in school for those 8 weeks. And then year four, which is me right now, that's 14 weeks. And I'm in the middle of doing that right now. And that's 14 weeks. And then there's also micro teaching placement in years 1 and 2. So micro teaching, you go out to schools for a day. You only teach one lesson and you teach it in a group. It's like team taught to the local secondary schools around DCU. So this is kind of how it's broken down here. It's thematically done. So year one, the focus of year one is teacher as communicator. So how you communicate yourself. Year two is assessor and curriculum maker. So it's very focused on the curriculum and on assessment and on designing assessment and how you assess students. Year three is creative innovator. So how creative can you be in the classroom? What activities can you come up with? And just how creative can you be? And year four is researcher, reflective practitioner, and professional. So that's me right now at the minute. That's what my year is focused on reflecting and on being a professional teacher, professional educator. So this is what we study. So for those of you who choose to choose English, like myself, we do fiction, poetry, drama, film. So we've modules on Shakespeare, we've modules on poetry, and we've modules looking at different kind of eras of literature. So like the Romantic period, the modernist period, different kind of periods of time. History, the medieval to the modern period. So it's looking at, again, history right throughout time, right up until present day. Music, you do your theory, you do your musicianship, and you do your performance. The performance is usually like a choir, a show that they do every year, and it's lovely. It's great. And then RE, we've got RE itself, religious education, how to teach RE. Then there's theology, religious studies, and then ethics. So a major attraction of this course is that it's 4 years. So it's 4 years and you're done, you're straight into schools. Whereas if you were to go to arts degree route, it is longer. You will have to do your 3 years of your arts degree of studying your subjects, and then you have to do your master's after, which is an additional 2 years. So it's 5 years, whereas this is 4. And then another attraction is the fact that we study in small groups. There's a lot of small group study, group projects. You'd have a project, maybe you're working with 5 or 6 people. You get to know people really, really well. And whereas small course 2, usually there's only between 100 and 120, 30 roughly people to do the course that are on it each year. So it's a small course in small groups. So we get very close and it's great. My experience on the course has been amazing. It's helped me grow as a person as well as a teacher. It truly is the best teacher education program in the country, and it is. And I'm not being biased at all by saying that it is brilliant. And I'd recommend it to anyone interested in following the career path because it's terrific and it's really, really rewarding. So yeah, thank you for listening.
Hi there, I hope you can hear me now. I'm going to talk about 2 courses that we're doing in conjunction with the Technical University of the Shannon. They're relatively new courses at the university, and they are post-primary teaching again, teaching secondary school subjects, home economics and technology. And the other course then is technology, engineering and graphics. So I'll get through these as quick as I can, and we'll get any questions at the end. So why teaching? And this will apply to both courses. So I may not read through every slide. This is more a factual one because it's not a student's interpretation of the course. It's our delivery of the course. So it's why teaching. Basically, we encourage students, if they're fascinated by teaching how people learn, they might want to pursue the area of teaching. Are you passionate about helping others work with young people? Do you want to inspire future generations? And then do you want to have an impact on young people's lives? Why the BEd in home economics, engineering, or home economics and technology? You want to inspire people. You like the subjects in school at the moment yourself. Home economics is a growing subject. We're very much aware that we need to be eating healthily. We need to be encouraging people to eat healthily. So this is where you're going to be able to teach the next generation to do that likewise. You want to become an innovative educator, and you want to develop your transferable skills in teamwork, leadership, communication, stability, and creativity. What's unique about it? It's a partnership with ourselves and the Technical University of the Shannon on the Athlone campus. So students are halfway across the country in relation to this course. You want to qualify to be a secondary school teacher in 4 years. You're qualified at the end of it. You don't have to go on to do anything else. And then you're going to be qualified to teach home economics and technology. The course is divided in 4, as you'll see. There's foundation studies, school placement, professional studies, and subject specialities. So your psychology, philosophy, and sociology, how we as teach children and children learn from us from all ages. Global citizenship, curriculum. Your professional studies is going to be teaching studies, how to be a teacher, how to teach the subjects, research studies and perspectives. And then you'll do micro teaching and school placement as part of the course as well. And then your subject specialities will be your home economics and your technology. The unique thing about this is in year 1 and 2, you'll spend them on the Athlone campus on the Technical University of the Shannon on their Athlone campus in year 1 and 2. And then year 3 and 4, then you come to us in Glasnevin in DCU then to do your educational modules where you're going to learn then how to teach the subjects. So they have specifically brand new facilities down at Athlone. They have dedicated kitchens for the culinary skills, and they have dedicated sewing rooms. So students will be able to use these facilities while they're there to hone in on their skills in relation to both areas of speciality. There's an idea of the modules. These are listed on our website, so I won't go through them with you because it is time consuming to read them, but just gives an idea what you will be studying, like very interesting things like there, electronics, textile and crafts, food studies like nutrition and diet, and the way families are changing, society is changing, advanced process technology, micro teaching, food studies, microbiology, all of those wonderful, exciting areas. Even this one here, food studies, farm to fork. And we have to be very mindful. We need to be sustainable. We need to be making sure that we're eating vegetables and things that are in season. So this is where you're learning all that. And then you would then, as a teacher, will be parting with this information when you're in schools. As I say, year 3 and 4, then you move on up to us and you'll be on the St. Pat's campus in Drumcondra, where you'll be learning how to teach the subjects. You've learned the subjects on year 1 and 2 in Athlone. Now you're going to learn how to teach them, and you'll be going out to do your school placement as well. Your school placement can be back in your hometown as well. It doesn't have to be in Dublin. It's slightly different in this course, whereas you can go back to your home place and do your placement in maybe in your old secondary school or in a neighbouring school, and then in St. Pat's campus you'll be using the facilities of the art education spaces, the Lego studios and the Minecraft studios, where you'll be putting into practice a lot of the skills you would have learned down on Athlone. Again, a list of modules in year 3 and 4. They change slightly because we don't have the kitchens in DCU, that you would have done those down in Athlone. So then your professional placement, it's 25% of the course. So the course is based, as I explained, divided in 4. So this is where a quarter of the course is then on your placement in year 3 and 4. And as you can see there, it's 28 weeks. You'll do micro teaching, and that's done in the university, where you are teaching your fellow students and they're critiquing you, and then you're teaching them and they're critiquing you. So this is where these skills come into place. So the entry requirements. The university has general entry requirements. You need to be mindful of those. It's an O6, H7 and 6 subjects, which must include English and Maths or Irish, and then an additional 2 subjects at H5. On top of that, the course then has specific requirements. They require you to have an O3, H7 in Maths. The O3H7 in Maths is a requirement for this course. And as you can see there, the course code is DC016. It's 4 years. There's an average 30 students taken in on the course every year. And then the points this year came in at 367. And that's the minimum points. You always have to be achieving higher than the minimum points to be guaranteed a place. There is placement, and there will be the QQI PLC route for this course as well. The internship is done in the summertime. It's not done during term time. And you could be working for a technology engineering company. So it gives you an idea where your career path can go. I'm going to speed on in down to the next course, which is the technology engineering graphics. It's DC015. Again, in conjunction with Technical University of the Shannon. I read through these on my last presentation. So basically it's the same thing. What fascinates you to learn, passionate about teaching young next generation, and do you want to improve young people's lives? And in these instances, you're going to be learning different subjects. So you're going to be, it's the TEG, technology, engineering, graphics. Do you want to inspire young people? Are you passionate about the subjects? And become an innovative educator, develop skills in leadership, communication, stability, sustainability and creativity. Again, year 1 and 2 in Athlone, and then year 3 and 4 then with us in DCU. You're going to be learning your 3 subjects down in Athlone, and then you'll be coming up here to DCU then to learn how to teach them. Again, the course is divided into 4, as you can see: foundation studies, school placement, professional studies, and technology engineering, and technology education placement as well. So again, psychology, philosophy, and sociology applies to all teaching subjects. So this is where it comes into focus here in relation to this. Year 1 and 2, as I mentioned, is on Athlone, and you'll be doing modules like graphics 1 to 4, models and modelling. This is how you build things. I've seen the projects, they're very interesting to see. You'll be doing the technology pedagogy, and you'll be doing micro teaching as well. Year 3 and 4, then you're back up to us. This is where you're going to be using the technology and the facilities we have up here. And your modules in Glasnevin will include the educational theology, technology, pedagogy, process design and teacher education, technology education, and capstone projects. The curriculum, the important thing about teaching is the curriculum, and then policy and assessment. Then we move on. Your professional placement again is going to be 25% of the course, where you'll be putting into practice what you've learned in the work environment, and you'll be developing your skills again. And then we move in then to the general entry requirements. Yet again, the same things apply. The university has general entry requirements, the O6, H7 and 6 subjects, which must include Maths, English or Irish, and then 2 additional at H5. And then this course then has specific requirements. It requires you to meet the minimum requirement of an O3, H7 in Maths for this particular course. Again, the course code is DC015. Again, it's a 4-year course. You're qualified. At the end of it, you register with the Teaching Council, and you hit the ground running at teaching in schools. The points this year, were 402. So a minimum points for 402. So students I'm hoping to do this course next year, just aim for a little bit higher, just to give you that buffer zone just in case it's needed. Again, there's internship. I'll mention that now on the next slide. And then there is the QQI PLC FETech route. Some students choose this option. They're not ready to come to university yet. They want to spend their year in their own town and get mature skills and things like that. And they might choose to do a QLC or PLC course before they apply to the university. It all stands to you. No education is wasted on anybody. So you can take this route, or you can go directly through the CAO. So then my last slide then is the industrial placement, the internship. Again, the summer of year 3, and you apply to participate in STEM teaching internship programs, and they're paid placements as well, which is nice that you're going to earn some money over the summer months. So that's the end of that presentation. I did whistle to stop through it, I have to say, just to catch, so we could catch up on the evening to make sure we weren't behind on any of the presentations. So has anybody any questions for me? And I'll answer them here while we're live on the chat. How many places are for overall, we reserve 10% of our overall places are for mature students on all courses. So the likes of this course, I'll just flick back and let me go back. I think it was 30 places. So in overall, there's 3 places reserved for students coming in through the mature route. But our mature students team, student team will look after you in relation to any questions like that. So do I still need to do a master's after? No, you do not. You're qualified. These are what we call concurrent courses. You're qualified to teach. After doing the 4 years, you don't have to go on to do a master's afterwards. Whereas if you did an arts degree, for example, and you took 2 subjects and you study them to see where you want to go with them, you then would have to do a master's, and it's a 2-year master's. So this is where it's non-concurrent, where any of the courses we're mentioning now are concurrent. You're qualified after the 4 years. And then DC010, which is the BRL-ed Bachelor of Religious Education, it is on the PATS campus. And again, mature students are welcome on these courses too as well. I'm hoping I've answered those questions for you.
My name is Jake Fortune, and I'm in third year of the Science and Mathematics Education course, or SME for short. And I'll be talking to you about the course structure and some of my own experiences within the course. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation, just throw them into the Q&A box at the bottom, and I'll come back to them at the end and answer any questions you have. Okay, so as you may have heard, there's a bit of a shortage of maths and science teachers throughout Ireland, specifically physics and chemistry, and that's why DCU has responded to the high demand, and they're now delivering a high quality undergraduate integrated Bachelor of Science degree. So there is some entry requirements for the course, but shouldn't be too much of a worry for you, as you'd obviously have some sort of interest if you're interested in this course. So you do need a minimum of an O1 or a H6 in mathematics, and you need a minimum of an O4 or a H6 in either physics, chemistry, biology, phys chem. For the course code, sorry, is DC203, and the points cut off for last year was 444. And there is an intake of up to 40 students, but usually we wouldn't actually have that many. So the class group would be quite small, which is quite good. Like my own year, I think there was 22, 23 of us. So you do really get to know everybody in the course, and even your lecturers as well. You get to know them very well. So it is a 4-year course. And your teacher training is done at the same time. I mean, you'll be fully qualified at the end of the 4 years in science for junior cert, and then either physics or chemistry up to a leaving cert level, and then obviously your mathematics for junior cert and leaving cert. So as part of your teacher training, you do have to do 22 weeks of school placements in post-primary schools, so in secondary schools, and them 22 weeks are distributed across years 3 and 4. And I'll talk more about the school placement now later on in the presentation, sorry. So as you can see here, this course is delivered across both the Glasnevin and St. Pat's campus. So your maths and science modules will be taught in the Glasnevin campus and by staff from the Faculty of Science and Health. And then your education modules would be taught in St. Patrick's campus, and that is taught by members of staff from the DCU's Institute of Education. As you can see, it does say IT and digital learning integral to the course. So that basically just means that any sort of work you'll be doing would all be uploaded to Loop, which is our online uh our online thing for the college, and you'd be using things like Google Docs or Microsoft Word, slides, PowerPoints, Excel, stuff like that, but you don't need to really worry about them as they'll all come included in your or with your DCU account when you register for the course. So as I was saying that one of my physics lecturers, Eilish McLaughlin, um, you'll meet her quite a bit if you're doing physics. She gave us out these little booklets. I can't. They're full of loads of different science experiments that were seen at a science festival in Prague, and she helped to make these booklets, and she gave all the students a copy of their own. And there's physics, there's chemistry, there's biology, so it's very helpful for when you're out doing your teaching placement or actually teaching. So when you're doing your lab experiments then in your chosen science, so either physics or chemistry, these will be done on the Glasnevin campus in large labs, and they'll be done in conjunction with other chemistry and physics students. So there could be 40, 50, 60s in the lab at one time. But we also have a dedicated science ed lab down in the PATS campus. So this is where you do a lot of junior cert experiments, and you'll learn how to actually teach them, not just do them yourself, which is actually quite fun and very useful for when you go out in placement because the kids will be asking to do experiments quite a bit. So here there's a picture of the chemistry lab. I wouldn't spend much time in there myself as I'm doing physics, but as they're working with chemicals and stuff, they have their goggles, they have their lab coats on, which are all very important when you're in the laboratory. So there is a high demand for the science and maths teacher graduates. So the two pictures there on the left are the Dean's Award recipients from 2023 and 2024. So in the bottom left, actually, the lady on the left is Natalie O'Neill. She's the course coordinator. So I think her email will be at the end if you have any further questions about the course. And the picture on the right of the two people there, that is the Scholars Award recipients for 2023. So top entry award for first year students. And the two of these guys are actually in my course. So I know them quite well as well, as I was saying, with the small course size. So just like your science modules, the education modules are taken with other students as well. So here on the left, that would be where we done this year, teaching and assessing junior cycle maths. So that would be done in conjunction with PE and math students, and then the PE, just PE math students for that one. And you'd learn how to teach maths and just different kind of approaches and pedagogies. And then you also have your own education modules as well, where it's just the SME students, which some take place in the SME lab or just in other little classrooms around, which they're actually quite beneficial. And you'll come into conjunction with your micro teaching modules as well, which I'll talk about a bit later. So with this course, there's also a STEM teacher internship program. I believe Margaret was talking about this earlier. So it's a 12-week paid internship that's done in the summer of third year. And I think there's actually one in the summer of second year as well. It might not be the same exact program, but there is one you can do there as well. So it's 12-week paid internship, and you get to work with a range of different Irish industries like Microsoft, which I think there's a part on the next slide about somebody that worked at Microsoft. Yes, so they attended a stint workshop in Microsoft and learned about new ways to bring coding and technology into the classroom and the importance of computational thinking skills. But you can also see there was somebody done their internship in a data center, and then they learned they began research on a new digital literacy program. And so this is the breakdown of how the course is delivered. So in year one, you have physics or chemistry modules, your maths modules, and your foundation education modules. In year two, you have your lectures and labs in chosen subjects. So again, chemistry, physics, and maths. and then some more education modules. In year three, then you have your junior cycle methodologies. So, like I was saying, teaching and assessing junior cycle maths and science, your school placement, which I believe is on the next slide. So, I'll just finish this part first. And then you also have a project in your chosen subject, so chemistry or physics. So I've just started my project this week. So I'm doing my physics project on how different surfaces and different football boots affect injuries. So you'll kind of look into the physics behind this and how you could improve maybe football boots or playing surfaces to prevent injuries. And then in year four, then you have the leave and cert methodologies, then your modules and your chosen subjects, more school placement. So I think the next slide then is about your placement. Yeah. So in first year, you do micro teaching, which is small group teaching. You're basically just teaching your course mates, which is kind of a good taster and a good start off point. Then in second year, you go out on a school observation. So you can go to any school you like and you sit in class and you observe how the teacher teaches. But there's also another micro teaching component there. But that's where the college actually gets first year students into the college and you provide them with a 40-minute lesson. So basically you're split into groups and you take their day full of teaching, which is very good experience to have before you go out into a school. Then in third year, you have 8 weeks in school teaching. So it's done in the first semester. I just finished there before Christmas. You take full control of junior cycle science and maths, so first to third year, and everything you do, it's all to you, but you have a lot of help from the college, your um, prior knowledge from the modules, and a lot of help from your cooperating teachers as well. And then in fourth year, you do 16-week school placement. So this is done for junior cert and senior cycle. And the two placement modules are a very good experience. Like you get to see how a school actually operates and you get to get involved in the school community. For example, like I took handball courses with the first year students and I helped take over the under 14 soccer team as well, which was great fun. So here you can see the ASTI Placement Award recipients from 2023 and 2024 for their top grades in school placement, and they received the bursary award. So it's kind of a good incentive to actually make sure you keep up your studies and do well on your placement. So where can your Bachelor's of Science degree take you? So your degree in science and mathematics education equips you with a skill set appropriate to a successful, sustainable, and rewarding career in education. So you can be like teaching, maintaining your own laboratory, correcting exam papers, supervising state exams, and come into that as well. Like I'm sure if you're interested in teaching, you've heard a lot about subbing. So when you're out in placement, you can do subbing, earn yourself a bit of money that way. And then later on in your career, there's leadership. So like state exams, teaching, move your way up the teaching council, IJA, the NCCA, the ETB, or even just move your way up in the school, like deputy principal, whichever. So think of two reasons why teaching science and maths might be the career for you. So for myself personally, I always just whatever it was with numbers in school, I just love doing maths. Like if you asked me to write an English essay, I just couldn't do it. So that's why I always look to go for a career in maths. And science is just something I've always had an interest in, like physics, such as like the Earth, Sun, and Moon is a very it was a chapter I found very interesting when I was in school. So it's life at DCU. There's some services here, so like the Student Advice Centre, the Students' Union, clubs and socks, Learning Support Service. One of the Learning Support services that I actually use quite a bit is called the Maths Learning Centre. So it's just like a dedicated room in the library for students studying any sort of maths in college. And when you go in, you sign in, and there's usually three, four, five tutors in there. So they'll be there available all day and they'll help you with any sort of maths problems you have, whether it be assignments, homework, anything at all. The walls are all made of whiteboards, so you can literally get up with a marker and just write on the walls, which is actually a great way to study or even just practice your teaching. And then I think there's just one more slide then just about travel from DCU. So as I said, you will be split across both campuses, but there is very accessible bus stops just outside both campuses, and you're given plenty of time to get between both if you need to go, or it's even just a short walk as well. It's only about 20-25 minutes, so it's grand. So I think that's the end of it then, and I'll just give a bit of time if there's anyone that has any questions.
Right. Thank you, Jake.